Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, I am gonna do another video about Khan and what he said about Canelo. It got kind of cut short, you know. I had to kind of cut it off. But yeah, Dmitry Bivol has actually come out in an interview and said that the rematch will have to happen at 175. Wow. He said that he's basically said that, you know what, when I said that I could make 168, that was a couple years ago. Now I'm a lot older. Now I'm a lot bigger. You know, I don't know whether I can make 168 anymore. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think Bivol can. Bivol look massive. I don't know whether he can make 168. And secondly, I don't want Canelo to fight him at 168. Because if Canelo beats him at 168, the excuses are going to be massive. Canelo has nothing to gain fighting Dmitry Bivol at 168. Honestly, if Canelo wins, people will just say, oh, well, yeah, look, he drained him. See? Canelo drained him. Canelo always does this. He takes everything in his advantage. Canelo Alvarez, if he wants to be respected and he doesn't want fans to have an excuse, he needs to fight him at 175. That might mean he gives away a massive weight advantage. Whether that's wise, I don't know. But for me personally, fighting him at 168, I just think that I think it's be physically impossible for Bivol to make it, because let's not forget, when he said that was a while back. You know, we're talking about, it wasn't that long ago, because it was actually Canelo's last fight against Caleb Plant. And that was, when was that? That was in November. So it was about 6-7 months ago where he said, but I actually think that Bivol can't make 168. Looking at the man, looking at how broad he is, looking at how big he looked on the night, I don't think he can make 168 comfortably. I think they were doing that because they wanted that payday. I think Bivol wasn't getting the opportunities. He was frustrated. He wasn't getting those opportunities, and he's thinking, oh man, I need to do something. I'll just fight Canelo at 168. I think that's what it was. That's why he said that at the time, because Bivol's career was going nowhere. Dmitry Bivol was in no man's land. He was in no man's land, and Dmitry Bivol felt like, I need an opportunity. I need to fight someone. So he's probably willing to do anything to get the Canelo fight, because he knew that was his opportunity. So when he landed the Canelo fight at 175, he probably thought, whoa, this Christmas has come early, because Dmitry Bivol probably never wanted to fight him at 168. But now Dmitry Bivol has beaten Canelo at 175. He's thinking, I'm the king. Because now Dmitry Bivol's commercial value has gone up through the roof. Why does he need to come and meet Canelo on his terms and fight him at 168? You know, maybe, I think Bivol may have thought about it and may have wanted to do it because of the fact that he's thinking to himself, Canelo's undisputed at that weight. I can become undisputed. Now, Bivol's already said that I want more belts. Bivol's openly said, I want more belts. By the way, guys, before I carry on with it, man, I'm sweating. I've just come out of the gym. That's why I'm a little bit rough. But yeah, getting back to it. Bivol's looking at it and Bivol's thinking, man, I need more belts. I've got one belt. Although I beat Canelo, I've only got one belt. I want more belts. I either want to fight undisputed at 175. I want to fight undisputed at 168. So that was the motivation about probably their team saying it, to become undisputed at 168. But I don't think Bivol can make 168 healthily. Looking at the size of the man, you know, look, I've seen a lot of physiques. This is not a small guy. This is a massive guy. This is a guy even bigger than Caleb Plant. Looked massive to me. I saw Caleb Plant, like, you know, I think he was out with his missus. I seen a picture on Google or whatever. He was out with his missus, and Caleb Plant in a t-shirt looked massive. I'm thinking this guy must be about 200 pounds here. He looked huge. His biceps. I was like, this guy's hench. Do you know what I mean? And Bivol's bigger. Bivol's massive. And, you know, like, you can just tell when you see the thickness of the guy. You know, yeah, man. Yeah. For me, Bivol's massive. Bivol's massive. And for me personally, I don't think he can make 168. I think that would be unhealthy for him. Just because looking at the size and knowing a lot about bodies and body types myself, I think that man would have to have a serious weight cut and be on a serious, deplete himself seriously to make that weight. I'm telling you, because to me personally, he's massive. Bivol's massive. Bivol's a big unit. Big unit. And for me personally, I think he should not make he should not make 168. Not a chance. If he makes it, I think he could be in trouble. I think he could be in big trouble. Yeah. I personally think that, for me, I think he probably needs to stick to 175. And now Bivol's in a great position because commercially his value goes through the roof. I'm quite surprised Bivol's got paid 5 million for that fight, which is seemingly less, but that just shows that his commercial and value, because all the other guys at 168 got a lot more. Obviously, the reason why Caleb got more, because that was an undisputed fight, but Bivol got 5 million, which is quite less. Actually, Bivol was probably the better fighter out of all three, and he probably got paid the less. Now, Bivol hasn't even been paid that, according to reports. They may have been withheld the money. Due to sanctions, he may have withheld his money. I don't know whether he's even been paid. I think he eventually probably will be paid. But that aside, Bivol in the rematch could make fortunes. He could make fortunes. This guy could make serious dough. So let's see what Dmitry Bivol makes in the rematch, because I think in the rematch he could be making anything, maybe 15, 16 million, he could be making up to that kind of money because he just beat him pound for pound king. And I think from a financial point of view, it makes sense for Dmitry Bivol to fight Canelo, because if he fights Beterbiev, here's the thing, a lot of people seem to think just because now Dmitry Bivol's beaten Canelo, he's all of a sudden as big as Canelo. That doesn't how boxing works. You don't all of a sudden take somebody's fans just because you beat them. So Dmitry Bivol is still going to be somebody that is he's gonna have to build up his fan base, build up his name, because just because you beat Canelo doesn't mean you are Canelo. You're still gonna have to build your way, still build yourself up. So Bivol, for me, has got a long way to go. Bivol's still gonna have to do a lot before his value's gone up, and his value's gone up if he fights for the rematch. Because if he fights the rematch, Bivol can command more money. He'll get a bigger split. He'll probably make roughly between 10 to 15 million, most likely. Generally, if there's a rematch clause, the money's already agreed. So, Canelo might have agreed a 70-30 split in the rematch if Bivol wins, which may mean that he gets, for Bivol, firstly, getting paid 5 million is a lot of money because Bivol's not making that kind of money. And now the rematch money would be even more. So Bivol's kind of he's made, like when you beat someone like Canelo, you're made. Right? You beat Canelo, you're in the rematch, you're gonna get life-changing sums of money, if 5 million's not already life-changing sums. And then remember, even if he was to lose the rematch to Canelo, Bivol is always gonna say that he beat Canelo. So his value is gone up. So his purses after that are gonna be big. If he beats Canelo the second time, oh my goodness, he's on top of cloud 9, and his commercial value is going to go through the roof. So Bivol's in a great place. He's in a great place. I do hope he gets paid. If he hasn't been paid, if the rumors are true, I hope he gets his money. But Dmitry Bivol, for me, is a superstar right now. He's a great fighter. He's got great skills. Most importantly, it's not about the fact that he beat Canelo and he's getting paid X, Y, and Z. It's the fact that the man's got skills. The man's got skills. So even if he doesn't get a Canelo fight, his skills will take him to the top. His skills will make Bivol well paid, and he'll get a good money in the future. Because his skills are so good. Because for me, I can't see any light heavyweight beating him apart from Arthur Beterbiev. And the Beterbiev fight, if it's an undisputed fight, will be big fight anyway. He'll get paid probably a couple mil for that as well. He won't get Canelo money. This is why I think it makes financial sense for Bivol to fight Canelo right away. Because firstly, it'd be a match that he'd be massive favorite to win. Secondly, he'd be getting life-changing sums of money, right? And after that, Bivol may be on the next level. But again, we have to see how all this plays out. I want to see the rematch. I want to see what adjustments Canelo can make. I want to see how this all plays out. But for me, Canelo shouldn't fight him. Canelo shouldn't fight him at 168, in my opinion. Firstly, I think Bivol can't make that weight. Secondly, Canelo won't get any credit if he wins, because people will just say he's drained. Especially if Canelo dominates the fight and Bivol doesn't look great, Canelo won't get any credit. But if he beats him at 175, there's no excuses. And also, I don't think he should put any rehydration clauses on. I don't think he should put any of that on, because if he does that, he's kind of handicapping Bivol, and he's not going to get credit because people are going to automatically use that as an excuse against him. So Canelo Alvarez needs to beat him in that particular, in basically how it was in the first fight. He needs to beat him, because if he starts handicapping him, it's kind of like, well, now Canelo's putting limitations on Bivol, because he knows he can't beat him if he comes in at his best. So he has to handicap him a little bit. That's what people are going to say. So Canelo needs to beat this guy at his A game. Whether he can, we'll have to wait and see. Guys, I want to talk about another topic, Josh Taylor v Zepeda. You know, Josh Taylor here in the UK, at one point, people were bigging him up to a certain level. They were saying he's the next Calzaghe. He's the next British superstar. And then he has one fight against Cattrall, and all of a sudden his stock drops, and Josh Taylor all of a sudden isn't that man anymore. I was in between. I never really built him up and hyped him up like some people were doing. And, you know, I was in between. I thought he was a very good fighter. But for me, I still felt he hadn't fought anyone elite. Now, that win that he had against Regis Prograis, I think that's the best fighter he fought. That was a very close fight. Personally, I had that fight a draw. Some people had Regis winning, some people had Josh winning. But that was a very close fight. For me. But the Cattrall fight, the problem is with the Cattrall fight for Taylor, it wasn't the fact that Cattrall was very dominant in that fight. He almost beat Taylor up at times in that fight, and he was outclassing Taylor, and Taylor looked really poor in that fight. And Cattrall was very dominant. He knocked Taylor down. And I think here's where people, I think the reason why people have been turned off by Taylor, I think it's the way he's acted after the defeat. I think people have thought this guy's very arrogant. This guy has come across a sore loser. But at the end of the day, look, what do you expect the man to say? Do you expect the man to come out and say that I lost the fight? You know, by the way, I'm not the biggest Josh Taylor fan. You know, I've not taken to him but prior to the Cattrall fight, I actually started taking to him a little bit more. I actually started liking him a little bit more. Then the Cattrall thing happened, and it's kind of like everyone's just gone against him. I was at the first time when people were hyping him, I was not so sold on him. Then I started, liking him a little. And then everyone's now gone against him. I think he's in a bit of a tricky spot because they're talking about him fighting Zepeda. What people have got to understand is Zepeda's a very dangerous fight. He may lose to Zepeda. If Josh Taylor's struggling to make weight, I don't know if he beats Zepeda. Jose Zepeda is a very good fighter. Now, I don't know why he would go in a fight with Zepeda and not Cattrall, because Zepeda's a very good fighter. Now, here's the thing, stylistically, someone has your number. I do think Josh Taylor showed in that fight that he can be outboxed. Whether that's just a style that can beat him, because Cattrall was very slick, very good boxer. And he outclassed Josh Taylor in that fight. In my opinion, I thought he outclassed him. When I mean outclassed him, I thought he made Taylor look bad at times in that fight. I think Taylor was made to miss. I thought Cattrall was landing a lot of clean shots. Taylor just didn't look there. He didn't look that great. And Cattrall looked brilliant. I don't know whether that was an off night, whether that was just Taylor has problem with good boxers like that. Because let's be honest, a lot of the guys that Josh Taylor fought, they're more brawlers. Regis Prograis fought him on the inside. Ramirez is a brawler. He's not a great boxer. The only good boxer that I can think of, him fighting was Victor Postal. And that was a tough fight for Taylor. But Cattrall's a southpaw. He's a different type of like that. They are very hard fighters to deal with. Slick southpaws, very difficult to deal with. I was very impressed with Cattrall. And I felt a lot of people were writing off Cattrall. Prior to the fight, I felt that maybe Taylor may have trouble with Cattrall, because Cattrall's a good boxer. He was a good boxer. But for me, this 140-pound division is not that strong. I'll be honest with you. I think the division where it's at 147. And unfortunately, I think Taylor understands that going to 147, he doesn't have a chance. And I think 140 is probably the division he needs to stay at, because if he goes to 147, for me, he just becomes a guy, like a top 10 guy, like a guy that maybe, fight. To be honest, would he beat Keith Thurman? I'm not sure. He definitely doesn't beat Boots Ennis. He definitely doesn't beat Virgil Ortiz, in my opinion. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, no chance. Those guys are different class. Even guys like Danny Garcia may give him a fight. So, you know, personally, I think if Josh Taylor, you know, a fight down the line, which may be massive, is Josh Taylor v Conor Benn. Now, they're talking about Conor Benn fighting Jose Ramirez. That could be a massive fight. That could be a really big fight. If Conor Benn does a number on Jose Ramirez, they could really start building up a Josh Taylor and Conor Benn fight, because that would be massive, because Josh Taylor's a 140-pound undisputed champion. Conor Benn's a rising star, although he's unproven at welterweight. I still think a win over Ramirez, even though Ramirez is a 140-pounder, if he does a number on Ramirez, because I don't know whether Ramirez fought. I think he might have fought after Josh Taylor. But anyway, Ramirez is a top quality operator. If Conor Benn does a number on him, you know, a fight between Taylor and Conor Benn's massive, and that might be the best move, because that would be a big money fight for Josh. And Josh got to look at it at this point in his career. There's a lot of hungry lions out there, even at 140. You know, there's guys like Gary Antoine Russell, you know, that are coming through, and some really good fighters. So maybe, you know, someone like Josh Taylor should look at a Conor Benn opportunity and think, you know what? Yeah, this, you know, he may look at Conor Benn and think, this guy's not on my level. And it's a big payday. And let's be honest, boxing's about money, right? It's about getting paid. So, you know, that might be an opportunity. But just a quick thought about Josh Taylor v Jose Zepeda. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to know your opinion. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.